All right, Shalom. I'm going to start out by giving all praise and glory to Yahweh, Shema, Shah, Shon, Kakodash, double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to all the Akim out there pushing the word of sincerity and the truth. Yeah, it's the brother Barzal from Great Millstone, Atlanta, and I just wanted to do this lesson. And this is a very good website also. It has a slew of things, the ZME science sites. It has science, climate, health, space, basically, environmental information, updated environmental information, for brothers that, are into nature and things of that nature and, just intrigued by stuff like that. But, the topic of the lesson, I wanted to go into just the power of Yahweh Shema Shah and, his species that, dwell upon earth. And that's from all degrees, from the apex predators all the way down to the insects, even, the plant life, which really I'm not going to touch the plant kingdom. Maybe Lord willing, I'll do a lesson on it later. But the main thing I wanted to do was just show the power of Yahweh Shema Shai and the creation. When the Lord created the world in that 6 day time span. Of course, we know a day with the Lord is 1,000 years. He created it to be perfect. That's why every time he established it, he said, and he seen that it was good. It was good. It was good. Where good is perfect, or upright, and conditions of morality and conditions of synchronicity to the elements. Everything, when the Lord created it, the water life, the plant life, plants, vegetation, everything that he created to function and to dwell upon earth, it had an extremely divine purpose, and it still does have extremely divine purpose. That's why it's known as the, people know it as the circle of life, and, like I said, one thing I want to go into is these different animal species, and show that they have a level of direction, and this topic goes into animals taking medicine when they're sick, and it speaks about the different cases of animals when they're in, when they're very sickly, how they know what to run to. They run to the plants and herbs of the Most High. They don't run to your, you don't see insects and, birds and things of that nature lining up in front of the hospitals, or going to the MD's front door, with a benefits package, or insurance, health insurance, looking to get treated, for injuries. They run straight to whether it's certain flowers, certain medicinal plants that really Jake's supposed to be using, So it's really not even an excuse for, Israelites to not even use these things when the Lord, created these things for the service of man and beast, and these things I'm talking about plants and herbs. The scriptures speak about how the Lord created medicines out of the earth, and him that is wise will not abhor them. The word abhor means to hate, detest, or basically shun it away. So it says animals take medicine when they are sick, a few striking cases. It says, and it was published February 21st, 2020. Humans are not the only ones to use medicine to treat diseases. There's even a science dedicated to animal self-medication. Zoopharmacognosy, from the roots, zoo, animal, pharma, drug, and gnosis, knowing, who knew. So animals know what drugs to take, and they don't take your pharmaceutical drugs, They don't take over-the-counter medicine. They take the herbs of Yahweh Shema Shah, plants. All right, it says humans have been medicating using plants for thousands of years, but we're not the only ones. Our understanding of animals using medication has shifted over time. One of the earliest researchers in zoopharmacognosy established criteria for defining when an animal is using medicine. The plant should not be a regular part of the animal's diet, have no nutritional value, be consumed in time of the year when parasites are more active, and should only be used by a single animal at a time. These criteria are most relevant with primates, which actively choose medication when they are sick. Presumably, a similar practice was employed by early humans. Yeah, which that practice is no longer in effect in the with the human species, so to speak. I'm using species in terms, of course, to indicate a separation. But yeah, when man was sick, we knew what plants to use. Whether you had an eye infection, you had an ear infection, you had a stomach candida problems, you had a viral bacteria infection, you had Alzheimer's brain deficiencies. The list goes on and on. Arthritis, bone inflammation, inflamed joints and things of that nature. Because you have foods that alkalize and that rid your body of these different ailments and diseases. But most people, how many jakes really know how to apply eucalyptus or how to use essential oils or how to use these different plants, ashwagandha and things of that nature, gotu kola, when they what these different medicines have, and what part do they play on the different organs and the different functions of the body. You could go down the street, you go to the most busiest parts of the city, and you could have a pack of different herbs and walk around and speak to individuals, and they ain't gonna know what the hell it is. The masses of the people. Now you have a few individuals that know they medicines, but the masses of individuals are basically brain dead. They have no discernment. They have no idea of what's on earth, for the benefit of them, you know because they have been westernized, and they have been basically dumbed down. But continuing on, it says, in addition to active learning, some animals learn innately, such as through natural selection, such as insects and other invertebrates with tiny brains. Other type of medicine used in animals are recognized, such as giving medicine to family members and using the same substance as usual, but high quantities. And they have the list of animals that use the medicines when they're sick: primates, monarch butterflies, birds, and bees. And first on the list is primates. Which, Lord willing, I just read it to expound the different points. It's very interesting. To even just see the power of the Lord's beast and how they act, like they said, how they move innately. And you have to have that same, which really through the Spirit, the Lord created it, where we have to go by books and things of that nature. We have to go through, so-called academic courses, not in Esau's world, but you have to learn about these different plants. You have to really sit down and learn, but you don't have to put a book in front of a primate, for it to recognize. Even certain dogs, if you put certain things in front of a dog knows not to consume that. But when they're sick, what is the first thing they go to? They eat grass and things of that nature, when they have stomach infections and things of that nature, so that they could draw out the chlorophyll. That chlorophyll rebuilds their gut lining, it rebuilds their system, and it helps rid their bodies of any type of infection, without them actually have to, go get treated by a veteran, But it says, as they are closest relatives, which is BS, we know that, but, Esau's science falsely so-called. But I continue on. It is probably it's it is probably isn't surprising, which they wrote that wrong, but it probably isn't surprising that primates use medicine at around the same time that Jane Goodall was observing chimpanzee in Tanzania in the 60s. So was the Japanese anthropologist called Toshisada Nishida. He saw chimpanzees eating espela leaves, which he found a bit strange as they don't have any nutritional value of chips. Likewise, at Jane's Gombe Reserve and other locations, chimpanzees were seen swallowing whole leaves. The researchers hypothesized that they were using leaves as medication. Additional support came many years later in '96 when the biologist Michael Hubin saw a sick chimp ridden with parasites that chewed on leaves of a noxious plant and recovered by the next day. So this chimpanzee had all kind of basically parasites that was festering within him, and he had the discernment to know what to run to, and he recovered immediately, you know. And if brothers actually have ailments and sicknesses that they have been dealing with for a number of time, man, you have to get into these things, man. The Lord created these different medicines for the benefit of us, and of course, you pray. Prayer is a major portion in this faith, but Scripture says faith without works are dead. You know, you have in most cases, if you have a major ailment in your body, when you just send up a prayer, you know, that's not good enough, to be honest. It doesn't work like that, man. That's why the next day it ain't like, you might have a brain tumor, and you pray and that brain tumor just pops up and go away. The Lord created things on the planet Earth, to direct, for you to be directed to, for you to take to reduce and, kill tumors and different cancers that produce in the body. So it says other researchers have observed bonobos take leaves that cause itchy skin and layer many of them on their tongues, carefully avoiding touching their skin. They use saliva to stick a whole ball of leaves together that they then swallow whole. The reason that they layer the leaves is so that it becomes a sort of time-release medication that acts over a long period of time, longer period of time. Yeah, so these primates are beasts, man. They know how to take care of themselves. They don't need, these different Edomites to hold them captive and, you know, assist them, so to speak. Now, of course, it is certain situations where certain animals need assistance from man, but the Lord created these different animals and beasts to know how to live in the wild. That's why they're animals, and the word animal goes into spirit, and the Lord programmed them, to be as such. But I'm gonna jump, from the primates, and I'm gonna jump down a little bit. Matter of fact, yeah, I wanted to actually speak on this jaguar, because jaguars actually do the same thing. So I'm gonna read a little bit more. It says a bonobo eating bamboo leaves. It turns to special rough leaves when parasites written. Tobacco the jaguar. Oh, I think that's maybe possibly the name. But actual jaguars also take medication too. I remember a brother posted it a while back how jaguars they get in the highest part of certain trees, and they take certain medication. And the medication is damn near like a hallucinogen, but they take it for a certain reason. It has a function on the body. Even the drugs that we know of today, cocaine, heroin, the plants that they spring from or that they're rooted from, really should be taken, but it's supposed to be taken in its natural form because it has natural benefits. But nowadays, people take it and they splice it and turn it into witchcraft or mix it with all kind of different substances, and they take it recreationally to get high off of, and it destroys them from the inside out. So also they have this with the monarch butterflies, and it says not all animals actively learn to take medicine like primates. In most cases, the animals learn innately, and the behavior is promoted through natural selection. The iconic monarch butterfly depends on milkweed plants as its caterpillars exclusively eat it. There's a special type of anti-parasitic milkweed, and only infected butterflies lay their eggs on it. Healthy butterflies don't look twice at it. However, by laying their eggs on it, infected butterflies ensure that their offspring are protected from infection. It is hard to say how consciously they are making this decision, but it does seem to be an innate behavior. Perhaps the parasites change the physiology of the monarch butterflies, and how she perceives the vegetation around her changes. She could genetically prefer beneficial plants in her parasite-ridden state. If the medication works, then her offspring survive and can pass the behavior on to the next generation. In other words, the use of medicine could undergo natural selection. It doesn't require conscious choice of a medicinal compound like a human or primate would do. Yeah, and that's bad, man. That's powerful itself. So, like I said, these animals know when it's parasites and it's certain ailments within their body, and they know what to exactly run to. Like I said, a healthy monarch butterfly wouldn't even look twice at it. They wouldn't even, pay it any mind. But one that is extremely sick, They know where to lay their eggs and basically put themselves in a position where their offspring doesn't even have to deal with the same, dysfunctions in their body. And you also have birds, which I'm just gonna really try to jump to the point, of the highlighted point with birds. Um, it says some birds have started stuffing an unlikely material into their nests. Cigarette butts, no, they're not near ne'er-do-well parents. On the contrary, they could actually be using the chemicals in the butts as medicine against parasitic mites, protecting their little chicks. It's not as crazy as it seems, as tobacco leaves contain chemicals that repel pests. Tobacco juice and nicotine sprays can be used as garden pest control. Yeah, so and you see this bird with a cigarette butt. Animals are bad, man. It's powerful, to even observe the Lord's animals. Cause I was, when I was younger, I was a big animal head. I still am, but I don't, watch the documentaries and things of that nature as aggressively as I did back in the day. But you can see the power of Yahweh Shema Shah through the things that He created. His DNA is embedded and is interwoven in his beasts. And you have Esau that just runs across the face of the world, just shooting them down, killing them. You know, deforesting certain places where these different animals live. That's why this devil has to get out of power, man. And the last one, you have honeybees. And it says honeybees often collect resin produced by plants and stick them onto their hive. In particular, they use resins as medication after a fungal infection. After being affected by harmful fungus such as chalkbrood, the bees collect more resin than they do normally. As a test to see if increased amounts of resins could protect against fungal infections, researchers added resins to experimental bee colonies. The result, colonies with more resin had fewer fungal infections. Therefore, the resin is an effective type of medication, right? So they know how to clean themselves, and they know how to medicate themselves. And if brothers want to read the last points, it's of course feel free to do so. ZMEScience.com. Like I said, the power of Yahweh Shema Shah is evident, and you can look around the world and you can see the things that He created, and you can see, like, damn, man, it really makes you want to, of course, give more praises to Yahweh Shema Shah, man. To just see how his the life dwells, amongst us, and how, nature itself is a powerhouse, man, to the function and to the thriving of man. So this is Job 12:7. But ask now the beasts, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the earth, which we just read about the beasts and the fowls. One beast in particular is the primate, and one fowl we just read about is the bird. And it says, and they shall tell thee. We read about the bees and all these different animals, and I'm pretty sure it's a wider range than that, but in specification, it wanted to those four. And matter of fact, I wanted to get this in Sirach 11 and 3. It says, the bee is little among such a fly, but her fruit is the chief of sweet things. Right, so that's just the power of Yahweh Shema Shah. You look at bees and you look at these different animals and things of that nature as being insignificant until the planet Earth, but they hold a major significance. And all of these animals are damn near going extinct. I was watching a animal based documentary on vultures, and vultures they save the planet, man. They have a extremely high contribution to the restoration of man. When all these different beasts die, with that, before they actually release a lot of toxins within the environment, what do you have swooping over them? Different vultures. And those vultures have extremely low pH, have an extremely low pH balance within their body. Their body is extremely acidic. And that's why they're known as scavengers, and those scavengers, help break down and destroy the body, as well as even certain you know, maggots and things of that nature. All these different animals and species, have some type of function within the earth, some type of positive function. Even what's those? I'm trying to think of the exact name. Possums. Possums actually. When you look up the benefits of possums, how many ticks and things that they eat on a daily, they actually save the planet also, man. But when you think about these animals, you think of them as a damn nuisance. You would rather the earth not even have them around. Even roaches, man. When the Lord created these different insects, He didn't create them to be against life. He created them to be pro-life. To clean and rid the world from hazardous materials, or to help, like the bees pollinate. Whatever that they do, it has some type of function for the service of man. All right. So Sirach 38:4, the Lord hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. And I quoted that earlier. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start from the top. Honor a physician with the honor due unto him, for the uses which you may have of him, for the Lord have created him. Yeah, the Lord created the physician, and you should honor him, and we should all be our own personal physician. Now you ain't got to be, like a super, super skillful physician, and but you want to, like scripture speak about, covet the best things. And one of the best things is to know how to take care of yourself, man. If you have a car that's broken down, if you know how to cover 70-80% of the problems on the car, then that takes away, that benefits where you don't always have to call and depend on somebody else for help, and always have somebody in your pockets, yanking your funds from you. You want to be, I think the term is autodidactic, self-learning, self-taught. And that's what they were speaking about, these different animals, which learn innately. They learn, by and by, and they grow over time. Verse 2, for of the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. The skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. And this is just all I have for Akim. Hopefully you brothers were edified. I'm going to end it by giving all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh Shema Shah by Shema Kakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom Akim.